Okay, let's dive into what is, no exaggeration, a $100 billion war for the future of entertainment. And look, I know we see headlines about big corporate mergers all the time, but this is different. We're talking about a knockdown, drag-out fight for control over the stories and characters that have defined pop culture for generations. And it all centers on one of Hollywood's most iconic and, frankly, most troubled companies.
Right, and that's really what this all boils down to. For a minute, let's just forget about the stock prices, the debt covenants, all the Wall Street jargon. The real prize here is the stuff we all know and love. This is a battle for the keys to the kingdom. We're talking about who gets to decide what happens next in the DC universe, who gets to write the next chapter for the wizarding world of Harry Potter, who controls the fate of Westeros and beyond. That's what's actually on the auction block.
So here's how we're going to break down this whole complex situation. First, we'll set the stage with the great media shakeup to really understand the chaos that's forcing everyone's hand. Then we'll dig into the two very different bids on the table. From there, we're going to explore three possible futures: what happens if Netflix wins, what Paramount's huge gamble looks like, and the messy scenario where the whole thing just falls apart. And finally, we'll zoom out and see what this means for Hollywood's final battle.
To really get why this is happening right now, you have to understand the sheer panic gripping the media industry in late 2025. This isn't a story about companies looking to get a little bigger or add a new asset. No, this is about pure, unadulterated survival. The ground is literally crumbling beneath their feet, and the old way of doing business is completely broken.
Yeah, and the industry has a name for this new era: the Great Re-aggregation. Think about it. The whole streaming wars phase where it felt like a new service was launching every week, that's over. It was a failure. Now everyone realizes that having a dozen different subscriptions isn't sustainable. So the new game is a frantic scramble to get bigger, to bundle everything back together, and to find a scale that can actually make money. In this new world, if you're not an absolute giant, you are on the menu.
All right, so let's meet the main characters in this corporate drama. First, you've got the prize itself, Warner Bros. Discovery. I mean, what a treasure trove of content, right? But it's a treasure trove chained to an anchor, over $35 billion in debt that is just crushing them. Then you have the two suitors. On one side, you've got Netflix, the undisputed king, the sovereign builder. They don't have to do this deal to survive. This is a power move for them. And on the other side, you've got Paramount Skydance, who we're calling the desperate challenger. They're a newly combined company that sees buying Warner Bros. As pretty much their only shot at staying in the big leagues.
And this slide, this really shows you the nightmare landscape they're all operating in. The very foundation of the old media business, cable TV, is in a death spiral. Ad money is fleeing, expected to drop over 11%. A jaw-dropping 77.2 million households in the US alone have already said goodbye to their cable boxes. Meanwhile, the future, streaming ads, is a game where only the biggest players, like Netflix and Google, can really win. And then you throw in the cherry on top: high interest rates. In the past, you could borrow billions for cheap to do a mega deal. Now, taking on that kind of debt is absolutely punishing.
Okay, so that's the battlefield. It's brutal out there. Now let's zero in on the two competing offers for Warner Bros. Discovery, because they are not just different in price, they represent two fundamentally different philosophies for the future of media.
Now this table really tells the story. At first glance, you see the Paramount offer has a way bigger number, right? $108 billion versus $82. But the devil, as always, is in the details. Netflix is being surgical here. They're saying, we'll buy the good stuff, the movie studios, HBO, the streaming service, and we'll carve off all those dying cable channels and put them in a separate company. Their payment is this complex cocktail of cash, stock, and shares in that new, very questionable company. Paramount's offer is totally different. It's a brute force, all-cash offer for the entire company, dying cable channels and all. It's clean, it's simple, but as we're about to see, it's an incredibly risky gamble.
Okay, so let's play out the first scenario. Let's say the Netflix deal goes through. What does the world look like? Well, you get the creation of what the industry is calling the bundled giant, a company so big, so powerful, it would be an undisputed titan of global media.
And this quote, this just nails Netflix's motivation. For them, this isn't about shoring up a weakness. It's a strategic kill shot. It's an offensive move. The goal is to buy up the best library of intellectual property on planet Earth and build what they call a content moat, so deep and wide that no competitor could ever hope to cross it. It's about ending the war. But, and this is a huge but for Warner Bros. Shareholders, the Netflix deal comes with a poison pill. It's called the SpinCo problem. So you're a shareholder, you get some cash, some Netflix stock, and then
You get shares in this new company, Discovery Global. But what is it? It's basically a garbage barge filled with all the declining cable assets. And to make it even worse, Netflix would probably load it up with $30 billion of Warner's old debt. So you get a new stock for a company that is born dying, with no growth and crippling debt. Paramount's team has even suggested these shares could be worth less than $1 apiece. Suddenly that Netflix offer doesn't look so good, does it? So why would Netflix go through all this trouble? Well, it's their 3-step master plan to secure total dominance for the next 20 years. Step 1, IP dominance. Get those forever franchises like Batman and Harry Potter that keep people subscribed year after year, which is the key to reducing churn. Step 2, ad tech synergy. They can take HBO's super premium content and plug it into their brand new powerful advertising system. That means they can charge way more for ads. And step 3, maybe the most interesting, gaming ROI. You know, Netflix has burned over $1 billion on a gaming strategy that basically nobody uses. But an exclusive AAA Batman or Harry Potter game that you can only play on Netflix, well, that could single-handedly make that entire billion-dollar bet pay off.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's look at that second path. What if the underdog, Paramount Skydance, actually pulls off this hostile takeover? What you get is the birth of a leveraged super studio, a media behemoth on a scale we've never seen before, but one that is built on a terrifying mountain of debt.
And the perfect term for this outcome is the winner's curse. It's a classic business school concept. It's when you get so caught up in a bidding war that you end up paying so much for the prize that the very act of winning destroys you. Winning the battle could mean losing the war for your own company's survival. And here is why. Just look at that number. Let it sink in. $100 billion. That would be the rough debt load of the new combined company. It's a number so massive, so mind-boggling, that it would immediately get its credit rating downgraded deep into junk status. That basically means lenders see you as a huge risk, so if you need to borrow more money, it's going to cost you a fortune. So the dominoes start to fall fast for Paramount in this scenario. First, that credit downgrade is almost guaranteed. That means the interest payments on that $100 billion in debt become astronomically high. That, in turn, strangles their cash flow, meaning there's no money left over for the one thing a studio needs to live, making new movies and TV shows. And all of this is happening while they're trying to pull off an integration nightmare, smashing two massive, historic studios together, which would almost certainly lead to total chaos and tens of thousands of people losing their jobs. But here's the wild part. While this whole scenario is a potential doomsday machine for Paramount, for the shareholders of Warner Bros. Discovery, it's a dream come true. It is the absolute best possible outcome for them. They don't have to worry about debt or layoffs or some sketchy SpinCo stock. They get a clean, simple, all-cash payment of $30 a share. They walk away with their pockets full, no strings attached. So we've looked at Netflix winning and we've looked at Paramount winning, but there is a very real third possibility we have to talk about. What if nobody wins? What if the government decides these deals are anti-competitive and just shuts the whole thing down? That could actually be the most destructive outcome of all. And don't think this is just some far-fetched theory. There's a huge political shadow hanging over this entire deal. President-elect Trump has already gone on record saying the Netflix version of this deal could be a problem. That's a massive red flag. It signals that no matter who wins the bidding war, they're going to face a very skeptical and likely very hostile Department of Justice. The odds of a major antitrust challenge are extremely high. And if that happens, if regulators block any and all deals, the outcome for Warner Bros. Discovery would be nothing short of a catastrophe. Let's be honest, the only thing propping up its stock price right now is the hope of a buyout. Take that away, and the stock could plummet. We're talking a 50 to 60% freefall. Its value would crash back down to the grim reality of what it is, a company with amazing assets but also with declining businesses and a mountain of debt it has no way to pay off. It could literally trigger a solvency crisis. Phew, okay, so we've walked through the three potential timelines: the Netflix empire, the Paramount gamble, and the regulatory implosion. Now let's put it all together and look at the final scorecard to see who really wins and who loses in this high-stakes game. This table really clarifies things, doesn't it? For Warner Bros. Discovery, or WBD, the Paramount deal is the home run, a clean cash out. The Netflix deal is just okay, and no deal is a total disaster. Now look at Netflix, NFLX. If they win, their stock probably dips a little and then rallies long term. But here's the crazy part. If they lose to Paramount, it's still bullish for them because their two biggest competitors would be stuck together in a debt-fueled nightmare. And then there's poor Paramount, PSKY. Look at that. Bearish, very bearish and bearish. For them, there's literally no good outcome here. Losing leaves them small and vulnerable, and winning could bankrupt them. It's a true lose-lose situation.
So at the end of the day, the whole thing boils down to this triangle of competing interests. You have the Warner Bros. Shareholders who are desperately tempted by that clean, simple cash exit from Paramount. You have Netflix's ruthless ambition to build an unassailable monopoly. And you have the government standing over the whole affair with an axe, threatening to block everything and potentially push Warner Bros. Right off a cliff. You know, this is so much more than just a business transaction. It really feels like a defining moment, a turning point for the entire entertainment industry. It's a raw fight between the old media guard and the new tech giants, between financial engineering and long-term strategic vision. And as these titans clash and the old, legendary empires of Hollywood continue to crack and crumble, the outcome of this $100 billion war will truly decide which version of Hollywood is left standing in the rubble.